Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining me on Friday. I'm always excited when people join me for part of my Friday and part of your Friday. I'm the big man, Greg Swartz, half of the Dram. I don't yet again. I'm still in the middle of a probably pretty ill-advised dry month, so I'm not having a dram. I'm having Lagunitas hop water, which is not paying me to say that, but I am drinking this stuff like it's my job. But anyway, it's also 1 o'clock here in California, so normally I would still have a dram. I'd rise to the occasion, but today I actually my guest. Well, I have two guests today, as luck would have it. We have James Miller Ingram, our scoring composer, and we have our executive producer, Brittany Curran. And since she's kind of technically my boss, I figure I shouldn't be drinking. Although maybe she's drinking, I don't know. We are making a whiskey film after all. So anyway, without further ado, I am going to invite them back in and unmute them. There we go. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hi. I like the idea of me like scolding you for drinking. Because like I see where we started, like me being in your film when I was 14 years old, all those years back, and now like just imagining that little idiot actress telling you to not drink alcohol just sounds so perfect.
Well, it's funny. I've worked in film for 20 plus years now, and I've never ever drank on set. I mean, it would just be, it'd be, to be honest with you, in addition to being illegal and irresponsible, it actually wouldn't even be all that pleasurable. Maybe once you've wrapped, you know what I mean? That's it. But making this film completely just shattered all of that. I mean, I was lucky and I know you were on one of the main shoots, but not the other one. And I never drove anywhere. I would just get driven to and from set everywhere. So what are you going to do? You go to like a distillery, and then this guy who makes this whiskey says, you have to try this thing I've made.
What are you going to say? No? Are you not going to take the offer of whiskey? Peer pressure.
Yeah. Plus it's, future bragging rights, which I guess I'm kind of doing now. Sort of, there's a third-degree black belt humble brag baked into that right there.
The one time that I did, well, not the one time, because I was driving a little bit when you guys were in, I think, Ireland, and I got to England a little bit early. So I got a rental car for like a little bit before and after the shoot, and during like a little bit, and like one of the few days that I actually had like a rental car so that I could get around when it was just me alone in London and around London, I hit another woman's car with my rental car because I was still getting the feel of driving on the opposite side of the road, and my spatial awareness was like really weird. So, and I wasn't, we weren't even filming yet. I mean, you guys were, but I wasn't even filming yet. I was kind of on vacation. I wasn't drinking whatsoever, and I still managed to dent this other woman's car. And then I came out of my car, we pulled over, and I was like, I'm an American. I'm so sorry. That was totally my fault. I don't know what I'm doing. And then, I offered to pay for the damage, but then she ended up.
I was thrown into the.
Oh yeah, you drove
into the fire immediately. We showed up to Isla, and someone's like, "Here's a manual car driving around Isla on roads that are about 4 feet wide." But hey, I did okay.
That's way better than being like in London where there's cars on either side of you instead of sheep on either side.
No, I still think those little roads on Isla were more difficult than the normal size roads in England. I mean, I wasn't on like some little side road. I was on like a regular road. I was just an idiot.
It's funny. I lived in the UK and then I lived in Ireland, and all that time I only ever drove a car once. I sort of stole my friend's car as a joke at a party once, and just drove it into town.
It was a joke?
No, it was a bunch of my friends and I got together and stole the host's car because he wouldn't take us into town to buy more beer. So we just stole his car and drove it into town. He didn't think it was funny, no, especially when I dragged the side of the car along the hedgerow and scratched the crap out of it.
I'm gonna say, officer.
So if you're listening, Andrew Beatty. But my favorite one of those sort of drinking on set stories was when we were at Springbank. It was like 8 o'clock in the morning, and one guy, they were bottling the local barley, which is this once a year Springbank release, and they're not allowed to say this, but I can because I don't work for Springbank. But all of the barley that they use in their local barley comes from the farm that's owned by Paul McCartney, and then part of their contract is they're not allowed to promote that.
I didn't know that.
Well, you know, Paul McCartney owns a farm in Kintyre. There's that famous song, "The Mall of Kintyre." That's his farm. So the barley, anyway. I'll probably get a letter from Springbank now, but in either case, they were bottling the local barley that day, the local barley whiskey, and the bottling line, you know, it's like it fills those bottles up instantly. It's like, you know, it's like a fire hose, like a really it's like way smaller than a fire hose, but way bigger than the little thing that dentist blasts on your teeth, but it still shoots out really hard because it fills a bottle in like a second. So the guy just takes a glass and shoves it under there and pulls it back out. So it instantly fills this whiskey glass, and it's like 68% alcohol. And you know, and he gave it to Trevor, and Trevor was like, "You have to help me drink this because I haven't even had any breakfast or coffee because it's 8 o'clock in the morning, but I don't want to upset the guy, you know."
I can imagine Trevor saying that. Poor guy.
He didn't really need my help. We've gotten a lot of greetings from people who are watching, and Alphonse has written cease and desist. He was there. I don't think he was. He, you know, obviously we didn't let Alphonse inside of buildings. He's the outdoor whiskey, but he was on the premises.
He has been stuck outside of buildings though before, right?
Alphonse was busy getting locked out, like in the rain or something.
Yeah.
We know how you treat Alphonse, Greg.
Yeah, Greg. Don't act like it's like you like stealing your friend's car. All these jokes of yours.
Yeah.
Hey, in London, the day when you wrecked that car, Alphonse slept on a couch because there wasn't another bedroom for him, if you remember.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember coming down in the morning to get some coffee. This poor man who's gotten maybe 2 hours of sleep at this point is like passed out on the couch in the living room. And I was like, Alphonse didn't get a room.
Our friend in Scotland, Keith Duncan, said 68% is a standard breakfast drinker. You know, I have a friend of mine here in LA told me a story that years ago he took a whiskey tasting class at Claridge's in London, and this is his definition of the teacher. He said he was in his early 100s, and he said he was going through different whiskeys that they were going to taste that day, and he held up a Glenmorangie, and he said Glenmorangie is the whiskey one drinks when one drinks before noon, and it is a very gentle whiskey. I like it. I have a bottle of it right now, but it's a very, very gentle whiskey. I could see it's a good breakfast whiskey.
That's fantastic. Actually, our friend just stopped by really quick for something, and as a joke the other day, I bought I do like Jameson, but I bought a Jameson cold brew, but like it's not like a cold brew coffee that has like a little something. It's just whiskey. It's just with cold brew flavoring, and I don't care for it. But yeah, I offered it to him, and I was like, "You want a little sip?" And he was like, "No." And I was like, "Oh yeah, it's the morning." And again, I don't normally drink in the morning, but after doing the film, I got so accustomed. I realized this afterwards, especially because I knew I was going to come on to chat with you soon after. I got accustomed to like when in Rome or when in Burbank, like just like tasting a really tiny taste of something even in the morning, like just became regular. Cause I'm like, oh, if I have the opportunity to taste something, I'll just like have a sip. It's not going to like make me drunk or like ruin my day. Right. And then I was like, oh yeah, other people don't necessarily do that on a regular work day.
I was just in June. I was at the Westland Distillery, and really? they were giving us tastings of new make straight off the still. Like it was like an hour off the still.
Is that the one in Washington State?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool.
And you know, you know her, my cousin Hannah, who lives there now. She was working with me for that. She was a PA on my shoot, and they gave her 3 samples of this different new makes that they had made as well. And I just told her, I was like, look, this is like 69% alcohol, and this is lunchtime. So, you know, you might want to just touch your tongue to it. It's also, you know, new make is pretty harsh. So it's moonshine really, you know, so,
it's clear still, right?
Yeah. It hasn't touched a barrel, you know, it's straight off the stills.
I don't think I've actually had new make yet, because when I came out for the shoot, at that point, we weren't like, talking to the people that were working like in the still houses and all that stuff. We were more like talking to we were in tasting rooms more so.
Right, sure. Well, I mean, I think I've only tasted New Make a handful of times. I mean, I worked at the distillery, so I just tasted it a bunch there. But I'm trying to think where we would have tasted it that you would have had. I don't know, maybe not. I mean, no. Anyway, you'll get a chance to it.
James has had real moonshine in college from a friend of his from Kentucky, right?
West Virginia, yeah.
Virginia.
That is definitely an experience.
It was like the moonshiniest moonshine.
Oh yeah.
I had a friend in high school who he's actually still my friend, but I haven't seen him in years. But he used to take he'd buy a bottle of apple cider and dump like a quarter or drink a quarter of it, and then he'd put a box of raisins in and then seal it and then put it in the sun for a week, and the raisins would ferment. And it would, it would basically make it mildly alcoholic.
Sounds like some prison shit.
Yeah, it was. It really was. I don't know where the yeast came. I don't know how he added yeast to it, or maybe just let natural yeast. I don't know. I don't remember. I just remember it's his little pet project. I'll write to him. I'll write to him and ask him.
I'm curious about this. James and I could start our own little raisin operation in our backyard. It's a pandemic. Times are tough. We could start selling fermented raisins. There's something I want to share with people who are watching today. We're not really saying this super wide yet because we don't have a lot of the details yet, but I got permission from Trevor explicitly to say this before we went live. But we are very, very happy to announce that the film has been selected to screen on PBS. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Which is, a huge get for us, and we're very excited about it. And I don't have any details, so I feel kind of like it's just a sort of a tease to say it. But it's the coolest thing that's happened to us in the last 2 weeks.
I am so excited, even just like as a fan, like nerding out, because like I love watching. I've seen so many different like documentaries and such on PBS or that PBS put out, and and plus growing up watching it, so I'm so excited about that. That's right, because we just found out like this week, right?
Monday,
that was
Monday, yeah.
Monday, yeah. I was gonna say it was really recent. That's why I was like, wait, what's the announcement? I'm like, oh yeah, that's right.
You've just moved on so quickly.
I was like, next. Yeah.
Well, hey, the other thing is that they still want us to come to Germany and play we've been invited. Anyone's watching this, we've been invited to screen the film at a castle in Germany and have live musicians play the score along with the movie. Now, when that's going to happen, I don't know. But they wrote to me yesterday and said, "How does November sound?" I was like, "Well, probably too early."
This November.
Yeah, 6 weeks from now.
2 months. Wow. I mean, I would love to go to Germany in November.
Well, I think it'd be really cool. And I've been to this castle. It's anytime you get to show a movie and play music in a 13th century castle, it's pretty cool.
I feel like an executive producer isn't strictly required for that sort of thing, but certainly a composer probably would be.
Wow.
I've already negotiated on your behalf that you get to stay in the executioner's cottage while we're there.
Perfect.
That's really why James got into the composing game. It's just someday stay in a 13th century executioner's cottage in Germany. Honestly, you know what's funny though?
I'm ready.
Not too far from the truth. I mean, he's already building up an army. An army. James Ingram is not building up an army. An armory in his studio.
Yep.
Well,
Actually has several. What?
We've got a rapier back there.
You have that dagger that I gave you for Christmas a few years ago in your closet.
Yeah.
Hey,
anyway.
Look, if you want to get to the next level, when we went to Charlie McLean's house, his fireplace poker is a sword, and I don't mean some bullshit Pier 1 imports poker that looks like a sword. It's a legit sword. So
also, how dare you insult Pier 1 in such a way? But also, yes, you're right about the sword.
So you should, you have a fireplace. I can see it over your shoulder. You can, you should put a sword there next to it.
You know what's so pathetic about the fireplace? It's so opposite this, like, this man and his I don't even know, but this guy poking the embers with an actual sword that like because when we bought the house, it's not properly like been cleaned out and whatnot. And so that's just like firewood that I found while I was up at a cabin in Big Bear last year, and I just took it off the ground and I brought it home with me, and then wrapped around it, you can't see, is just like a little like battery powered lights that I got from Michael's art supplies that's wrapped around it. And so at night I just flick it on and it's just I'll show you. Also, I'm wearing my pajama shorts, so sorry.
It might not emit any heat, but at least it's also dim lighting.
Oh yeah, it's just like you can feel the warmth.
How pathetic.
Someone has asked us, are any of us having a dram?
What is it?
No.
I will say this. I'm not. Here's the thing. This is day 20 of my month, but I'm breaking it tomorrow because I'm doing a live event tomorrow in the Whiskey, Bourbon, and Scotch Enthusiast group on Facebook. And the entire Q&A is built around me and the movie. And so I've agreed to reluctantly break open my bottle of first edition.
It's really hard for you sometimes, Craig, and I really feel for you that
I'm willing to
put up
down
with
deep.
such hardship. It's tough.
The art bag. Hey,
by
the way, I just want to point out because you'll be proud of me, Greg. I knew it was art bag just from the shape of the top part and the color of the bottle. James, you know what Greg reminds me of? Like whenever he breaks one of his dry months or whatever, like because he's like, it's the bourbon club, is for the local customs.
It's for the local customs.
Have you seen that Key and Peele skit, Greg?
No.
I'm gonna send you a link because you are doing that, but rather than in a creepy way, maybe still creepy with alcohol.
Yeah, so we're not having any drams, but I did actually. We had a friend who got into the Old Vic MFA program, and he is there now.
Yeah, he just got there on Monday, actually, to London.
A small going away party, and I led a small tasting. We had a small whiskey tasting with a few people. So we definitely have had some drams this week.
Yeah, we did that on Friday because they got to London on Monday. Speaking of me hitting people's cars outside of London, and they tried the black art.
Wow.
We did lots of stuff. We actually we started actually with a bourbon, and then we transitioned from the bourbon to the Ben Romick organic that's
you gave me for my birthday.
in the white oak bourbon casks. Because
that's a great handoff between bourbon and Scotch.
Yeah, so and it felt like that was a pretty good transition into kind of note the differences between American whiskey and Scotch, and then we went to the Brook Latte.
The classic latte.
Yeah, the classic latte. Yep.
You have it right next to you.
We kind of got smokier and smokier. Then we went to an Ardbeg. The Ugadal, and then Octomore 7.2, I believe, is what we had. Yeah.
And then we did the black art.
So we really started from like very sweet, smooth American bourbon and ended up in Smokeland.
Cool.
And then Ned and I ended up in Jameson Cold Brew Land, and it was terrible.
Well, Trevor.
That was not part of my curated.
No. I brought it out for silly fun.
Trevor, moved last weekend, and he's no longer my next door neighbor.
He's not above you right now?
No.
I knew something felt wrong about the world.
He moved to Montecito Heights because he's about to have a third kid in like 10 days. So
what?
So
what?
I also broke the dry month on his last night here because we used to sit on the front stoop, and so we sat on the front stoop and drank the X4.
I love the dry months. Which
That's
one's
no joke. The X4, the quadruple distilled Octomore.
Oh, the one where Jim was like, "We thought we were gonna burn the distillery down." I
Yeah.
don't know why I gave him an old timey British
That,
accent.
I swear to God, that's one of my favorite parts of the movie, and it reminds me. God, what movie is it? It's some stupid. I think it was There's Something About Mary. I think there's this guy, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna be rich because I invented 6-minute abs." And another guy looks at him and he says, "Well, what if someone does 5-minute abs?"
Oh,
And the guy says, "No one would do that."
yeah. After James saw that scene for the first time, like literally the first thing he said was, "What if somebody quintuple distills it?"
Well, that's funny because someone in the U.S. has now done like I think it was like 21 distillations.
Well, that's just obnoxious.
Well, and I actually said that to Jim. I told him that, and he said, "What's the point?" and he said, at that point, you would have the distillation would have stripped everything out of it. All you would have is just pure alcohol, and it would just evaporate, And
that's
so. There's a bridge too far. I don't know what it is.
Somewhere between 4 and
21.
It's I climbed the mountain because it's there. That's what the 21 distillation is. It's because it's there and you can.
Well, and I don't even know any details about it. So, but the X4 plus 10, man, it's really fantastic. And it doesn't drink like you think it's going to drink. It's like 70% alcohol, and you think, oh, this is going to drink like rubbing alcohol, but it's not at all. It must have been in an incredible cask because the edges are really kind of rounded compared to what you would think they would be when it's an Octomore and it's that.
What we tried too, I actually forgot this, is we opened up, well, we had already opened up our Water of Life bottling Bruichladdich.
Oh yeah.
And that one I definitely have to that one. Yeah. I definitely have to cut that down with some water. That one.
Oh, sure.
That one is quite strong for me.
What is it? 61.3.
Yeah, like I think kind of for me, like anything kind of over like 55. And I'm like, okay, I need to start taking a little bit of that like ethanol edge off. It's just
I always do.
I'm kidding.
I put water in pretty much anything. Certainly anything over 46.
Yeah.
I get very deep geek, and I have this like eyedropper, and I put in droplets amount of water.
Yeah, we haven't gotten into it.
By the way, we had opened this, James. We had opened this before. I had opened it to have one dram when we did Greg, when there was that awesome tasting of this with you.
Oh wow, yeah, nice.
We still have our last chat presentation.
By the way, Greg, so many of our like stuff like that, the tasters and the little chemistry things, we haven't even opened most of ours because I just want to save them.
Well, me too. But you know what I have here? This is funny. This isn't ours. This is just because I bought it. I'm in the Southern California Whiskey Club. I have two of these. They did a series last week called Cask Strength Kilhoman, and it's 10 Kilhomans, all cask strength, all different. So this is 5 of them, and there's another one of these. So even though I'm not drinking right now, I tuned into the Zoom to watch them drink, and then after like half an hour, I was like, why am I doing this to myself? Like, this isn't fun. This is just torture. Like the whiskeys are sitting next to me. I'm watching other people drink the whiskeys. So I just logged out of the Zoom and wrote to them and said, I'll dip in to this later and watch the video maybe. But
I actually picked up the Kilhoman 21 Fagiel bottling.
That sold out in like no time. Did you order it online?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, nice.
I forget. I got up early or stayed up late, whatever it was.
Nice. Yeah.
And Kilhoman's quickly become one of my favorite Islay whiskeys.
How pretty it is. I love the blue.
I love their bottle. I love their color scheme, everything.
Yeah, I really like the different.
And coincidentally, the only distillery we didn't visit.
Really? You guys didn't go?
We didn't make it. No,
we didn't make it.
It's not. is out of the way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, because remember last year when it was my 30th birthday last year, Greg, you know, because you came over for a little bit in the yard, across the yard back in those days, when James got me one scotch from each distillery on Isla. Do you hear that, James? There's like a helicopter and like somebody seems to be speaking out of some kind of like the police. Their voices are very loud right now. Anyways, at least the camera's not picking it or the microphone.
Brittany is basically Clint Eastwood.
Yes.
Constantly yelling at people to get off her lawn.
I was actually going to say Brittany is Martin Sheen at the beginning of Apocalypse Now. Just hearing helicopters that aren't even there. I didn't know that that James had gotten you that. That's a cool gift.
Yeah, it's so cool, especially because so when last year when he got me one whiskey for each of the distilleries on Isla, that was the first time that I'd ever try to, or either of us had tried to kill Holman, unless we tried one in passing, like at a bar.
I had tried a Kilhoman.
Oh, you had? Okay. Well, I hadn't. Oh, cool. Yeah. Hi, cask chasers. Wow, that almost became a tongue twister for me.
Well, I wonder. I don't know which cask chaser that is, Bobby or Aaron, but I wonder though, is Kilhoman not? I know they're not hung up on age statements, but is that partially because they can't be yet? They're just not old enough to be. I'm sure I'm sure there's a 40-year-old coming down the line in 30, 25 years.
Sure, but they'd probably, being a new distillery, they'd probably be talking about it already. They'd probably be talking about like, oh, we have X amount of casks set aside for this thing that's coming down the line. Like, why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they be?
Well, I know that they. I don't even remember.
First, Phil, I agree.
I agree.
I agree with that statement across the board.
I don't know where I read this, but I read that Kilhoman was, when they first started selling whiskey in like 2008, they were so popular so fast, and they got caught up in it. They started selling all their whiskey, and then they actually realized that they were literally never going to have old whiskey if they didn't save some.
Oh,
and they actually they sort of had to recalibrate their logistics and planning and sort of set stuff aside and just have the discipline of not selling it today, or you'll never have old stuff. And
by the way, I'm having a very small bit of Armed Films whiskey.
Oh, nice.
Because I haven't opened this Kilhoman yet.
Well,
I fell in love with their whiskey though. What was the one that you got me, James, for my birthday last year?
Oh, it was, I forget the name. It's just kind of like their classic Lottie, whatever they're kind of like.
The Macker Bay.
Yeah.
Bay.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I really loved it.
I have a list here of the 10 whiskeys that I didn't drink that are in those envelopes, and I'm trying to see if one of them is the
Slancha, to drinking at 1:30 in the afternoon.
Slancha.
What Brittany is hiding from you is that those nice crystal Glencairns straight from across the pond are decreasing in quantity in our household.
Not on purpose. Oh my God, it's so much peatier in the morning.
Are you guys having like a Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf thing where Brittany just starts smashing crystal glasses in the fireplace?
What a dump.
No, she tips them over. She has a whiskey in the bath, and then as she gets more relaxed in the bath, we'll call it, some of them tip over and find their way to the tile floor.
First of all, I've never broken a whiskey glass in the bath. I've only broken a wine glass in the bath and a candle holder in the bath.
Semantics. I believe you've broken a whiskey glass next to the bath.
Oh shit! Oh, I did. I broke that little mini Ardbeg glass that you stole from Ardbeg from Fagil a few years ago.
I acquired a small Glencairn through unofficial channels.
Do you know there's a great Scottish word for doing that, and it's slang, like Scots slang, that I absolutely love, which is you didn't steal it, you bumped it.
Oh, that's good.
Because I may have bumped,
and then I
may have bumped a glass from Bowmore.
What?
I may have bumped a glass from Bowmore.
Nice.
when we were shooting Jim's main interview in his dining room, Guy moved the boom pole between setups and knocked the water glass Jim was drinking out of onto the floor, and it broke. And I apologized to Jim's wife, and Jim was in the room, and he said, he goes, it doesn't matter. I just stole that from a pub.
That's
and it was just a water glass. I mean, it wasn't like some rare decanter or something, you know.
It wasn't like an imported Crystal Glencairn.
That was not in the bath. That was in the sink. And I mean, I'm still not proud of it. I don't know.
You know, Brittany, Ardbeg makes metal camping whiskey glasses.
See,
just throwing that out there.
For the record, I learned my lesson. I don't bring glass into the bath anymore. I understand why pools have this rule. Because I can really think. Very clever I am.
One of life's many lessons.
What?
I said one of life's many important lessons.
Yes, I actually bought a plastic wine glass for the bath.
Oh, we got one. It's like a rubber wine glass. It's like Eleanor likes to use it because she'll bounce it and it'll bounce off the ground. It's a stemless wine glass and it's kind of made of rubber. And then Megan got me a beer pint glass that's the same. We bought them at Mammoth, like in the gift shop at the ski resort. You know, they say Mammoth Mountain on them. You know, I am really, you know, it's funny. I didn't know until 5 minutes before we went live that James was actually going to take me up on joining us today. I didn't prepare to discuss this, but I did. I'm really excited to the idea of recording our score, you know, doing an actual analog recording of our score.
James is like, at the prospect of that, is like psyched. He's like psyched, not just like James. Like he actually shows real human emotion, excitement at that, Greg. So I just want to let you know that you are one of the people in life that has made James show, even if he feels true excitement, show it on a human level that would, you know, that a human could detect.
Wow.
I'm like a robot. Have a habit of being somewhat reserved in my reactions. That's true. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm talking to, for anybody that's watching, we basically use program instruments for the most of this. I would say 90% of it is sampled and written. I mean,
very expensive.
Done in in my home studio here, and so we are going to get a live band together, and I think we're going to try to do it, everyone just in the room at the same time, as a I'm going to butcher the pronunciation of Khalid. And so we're going to record it in that sort of style. We'll probably do a few like overdubs here and there, but I'm excited. Got a couple of studios lined up, and we just got to get our schedules together.
So if maybe Keith Duncan, if you're up on your Gaelic words, I don't know the difference between a céilí and a session and a stramash. I believe a stramash it actually means like it's a mess, but I know musicians call it when they get together, just sort of when it's completely impromptu. But I can't remember. But I know like a céilí is like a party, you know, music party and jam session kind of thing. But I think there's usually dancing in a céilí.
Yeah, that's what Brett. We went to one in Port Ellen.
Oh, in that banquet hall.
Yes.
And then we had no cash, and so we couldn't buy any alcohol, and it was.
Well, I think I was driving, so I don't think I was going to be.
Well, I could have had some alcohol. What did first?
You know, so to answer this question, Brooklani releasing a 12-year-old. I know they're not only do I know there used to be a 16, a Bruichladdich 16. The liquor store that's a block away from my place here in LA has it. They still have a bottle of it, and it's amazing to me that I haven't bought it. Bought? Oh my God. That's the kind of thing I make fun of Brittany for.
I know. Oh my God.
I mean, you might as well just start drinking. Like
I may as well have just said supposedly.
Actually, this is a quick aside, but Greg, you're really going to appreciate this. It's a significant part of my vernacular to use the word agreeance instead of agreement. I do use the word agreements, but I use the word agreeance not like all the time, an appropriate amount of times. But James always gives me shit for it because he says that agreeance isn't a word, and then he makes fun of me because I have a literature degree. And I was like, no, I think it's a word. And anyways, tell Greg what you discovered the other day.
Well, I've forgotten who it was, but I had seen a clip from one of these late night talk shows, and there was some celebrity that used the word agreeance, and the host, in my opinion, still rightfully called them out on it. And it turns out, though, that agreeance is a word, and it basically means the same thing. The key difference is that it fell out of favor in the 1870s. So as far as I'm concerned, I feel justified in giving Brittany shit, and Greg, you should as well.
I will. You know, and I'm gonna put myself out on a limb here, though. My entire life, for reasons I will never understand, I've always had a hard time not spelling, not understanding, but saying the word authenticity. There, I just did it. I nailed it. But my mouth just wants to just kind of throw 100 words out with that, like a vomit words out when I say authenticity.
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 Authenticity. I can't say the word self. I can't say it. Self.
Have you ever watched? I stopped watching it because it's ridiculous. But you know, I think I told you guys to watch it, and you didn't like it either. It was oh my God, Letterkenny.
Yeah.
I know I haven't watched it yet.
Well, there's a very funny recurring joke in Letterkenny that the character Daryl cannot say the word breakfast, and they do a great job where they don't overuse it, but they slip it in every now and then. And now they've gotten to the point where they'll actually stop a conversation when they're talking about meals and look at him, and then he'll just like slink away in shame. Like the joke is now he won't even try to say it anymore. Breakfast.
Do you know what I'm saying when I say self? Self.
SELTH. I assume that's what it sounds like.
Self.
The opposite of north.
The opposite of north is what I'm saying. Self.
Wait, you mean like
that's
south?
How I say self.
South?
Yeah.
Good Lord.
I can't say it. I don't know. It's the only word I can't say. Well,
wait, this is probably not interesting for anybody who's tuning into this. What do we have any other details about our our
no, let's talk about phonetics some more.
And, here, wait a second. We've got it. We have some. Here's some. Kaylee is not a Kaylee without the dancing. The dance is what makes a Kaylee, and there are specific dances to learn, such as Dancing White Sergeant, Strip the Will, and the Gay Gordons, etc.
Oh, fun.
All right. Well, thank you.
Honestly, that makes me want to like look up how to do those dances. Because I love that. I think that's really fun.
And then here, then Keith Duncan said Stramash seems to involve a wee fight at the end.
That can be arranged.
I know that at the end of the festival day at Brooklady, here's some a little inside baseball. At the end of the festival day at Brooklady, within the distillery itself, obviously they can't drink all day because they have hundreds of people there that are drinking all day.
That attitude.
As soon as it ends, they have a huge party, and that one thing that they traditionally, since they've been reopened, have always done is they do a huge Strip the Willow in the courtyard. And I told Lynn McEwen that I've never done a Strip the Willow, and she was astounded by that. And I was like, well, you know, I've never had the opportunity. I've never had the opportunity.
In America.
When I lived in Glasgow, first of all, I didn't live in rural Scotland. I lived in Glasgow, and secondly,
I lived in a housing electric slide, but
I lived in a housing estate in a cement block housing estate where I was more likely to be involved in a knife crime than a Strip the Willow.
What a sentence!
It's true though. It's 100% true. Right. But in any case, yeah, you know, the only other thing I wanted to say about the movie is that we literally today got the last piece to fall into place to do our extended cut. We've had an extended cut kind of ready to go. We had to clear some legal rights on some archive footage that we were using in it. And now we have that, which means it's locked, which means that James has to go put music over it, and then it'll be done. And it'll be 10 minutes longer. So for those of you who wanted a 98-minute movie instead of an 88-minute movie, we will make that happen in the next couple of, weeks.
James, did you know that you had 10 more minutes to write for the movie?
Yes.
He doesn't. He knows, but he doesn't have to write it. He wrote lots of music we didn't even wind up using. I mean, not a ton, but there's 4 tracks maybe we didn't use.
Something like that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I just like
in
the
any
idea
case,
of Greg like on a like a live YouTube video saying to the composer, like, by the way, 10 more minutes of music, just like we're super casually.
this has all just been a ruse to slip that in quietly on him and put him on the spot where he can. This whole thing is just a setup to be like, oh, by the way.
He can't react poorly in front of all these people.
I actually remember you telling me that now, James, about that, because I was glad that you get to use some of the music that you'd written already.
So one of the things I'm going to say, I say this every week when we do this, if people are joining us through our Facebook group, their name shows up in the chat as Facebook user because they have to opt in to have their name appear. This is so weird. It's not us. It's a setting on Facebook. If they log in through the Facebook page, then their name appears, or YouTube. So someone, I'm sorry, I don't know who you are, said you need to come stay with us Tookters. I would love to, but I don't know even who you are. So because you're just showing up as Facebook user. But if you tell me, I'll show up on your doorstep. And then here, Alan McLaughlin had another thing. Kaylee are literally part of the school curriculum in Scotland. That's awesome.
Really?
They made the boys and girls get in line and make the boys pick their dance partner. They treat being, if you don't pick someone, you may end up dancing with the teacher. Oh my gosh. Oh, Russell. Oh, awesome. So it's Russell Brinklow. Russell, you can bet you are in the only part of Scotland I've never been to other than Shetland. Russell's in Inverary, which is near Aberdeen, and I've never been in Aberdeenshire at all. And so, plus he works in a whiskey shop. So
I have been to Aberdeen.
Have you?
Yeah, we did.
We
did a show. Yeah, we did a show there.
What's the arena called there, or wherever the state, wherever you guys played?
What's it called? I have no idea.
What's the big music venue called in Inverary? Do you know, Greg? Does anyone
in Aberdeen?
Aberdeen.
I don't think. No, I know there's not.
I remember what it looks like.
Describe it in great detail.
Are there seats?
What's that?
I'm just being funny. I said, are there seats?
No, I have to.
I'm sure Russell will put in what the name of a concert venue is there. The Aberdeen Music Hall. And Pittodrie Stadium.
That
Blue Lamp. There you go. Aberdeen FC. The Lemon Tree. Wow, they're just coming in fast and furious. These are clubs. The AECC is the big venue.
Maybe that was it then.
I'm gonna look it up.
It probably would have been the big one. We were supposed to fly into
Inverary. I think it was like 9,000 capacity or something that was on that show.
Well, is this with Blink?
Yeah. This would have been.
So it would have been a big venue then. Oh, Graham Fraser has just joined us. Well, Graham, you have missed a rollicking conversation, but what we've been doing is getting lots and lots of tips on the differences between a Kaylee and a Stramash. But I think we've got it sussed now. So in any case, while we're trying to sort out the biggest concert venue in Aberdeen, I've got nothing else to say about the movie. Things are moving along. We mentioned earlier we're going to be screening on PBS, which we're very excited about. People always ask us, I know, including Keith asked me this morning, about when the DVDs and Blu-rays are going to be available. Here's the thing. I've always been telling people we're going to wind up on a regular streamer eventually. Without the PBS screening, that would have probably been sooner than later. The PBS will probably delay that. That's a really good problem for us to have because that means we're going to, we can't go into both places at the same time, is the long and short of it. And I think that we were going to do the PBS thing. That is so much a new thing. We don't even know the details of it yet. We're working on it. And once we get that sorted, we'll wind up on another streamer, and we'll wind up on Blu-rays and DVDs and everywhere else. But for now, we're still doing what we're doing, and it's going really well, actually. And but we're ready to. We want to come back. I want to come back to Scotland and shoot the rest of the stuff for the independent bottling film. So.
I'm really close to. I'm close-ish to getting into a grad school in London. So I have my final Zoom interview tomorrow morning, Greg. It's like
I
the
didn't know
third
that.
step in third. Yeah, no, I haven't really talked about it. The third and last step in the process. So if I do get in, I'll be living in London for a year, starting in January. So anything being shot in that part of the world would be really convenient for me.
Well, it's funny. I'm getting more people showing up as Facebook user, and I see someone commented Blair, and I assume that means Blair's one of the people who's watching us through our group, and I don't know, but if you are Blair, hello. And I know Blair, I believe, went to university in Aberdeen, so he'll know.
I used to know a professor that worked at the University in Aberdeen because he came and visited UCLA when I was a student there and talked about Celtic literature. And
it is Blair. He says hello. It is him. He's there. Hello. So we, in any case, when is the film going to come out on? Yes, DVD, Blu-ray. Here's the thing. If nothing else, if the PBS thing hadn't happened and the world were operating at normal speeds, it would have been in time for Christmas for obvious reasons. It makes sense for us from a business standpoint, but I doubt that's going to happen at this point, to be honest.
I think it's going to be 2022.
Right. I mean, once we put it on Blu-ray, we can't do a lot of the other stuff we want to do. The appeal is gone, to do some of the other stuff. And we want to be on Blu-ray, and we will. And the extended cut is going to be on Blu-ray. And there'll be other exciting things on the Blu-ray too. We have a really fun little video we made with Charlie McLean about how to do your first ever whiskey tasting, which is actually really cool.
For people like who don't know much about it, and trust me, I am one of those. There's when you're shopping around for a distribution deal, there's all sorts of things that companies want that you can't do by yourself, or else it kind of torpedoes their efforts. So like a company that might want to distribute the film will say like, oh, you can't put out DVDs and such.
Or we don't want to buy your film or license your film if there's
and like if you are showing your film in a regional theater in the Southeast United States, then that kind of ruins what they want to do with their theatrical release plans or something. So we're ending up having to hold off doing a lot of basically everything in order to get as good of a distribution deal as we can.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly.
He said it better than I could. So in the meantime, we're going to record.
We should do a commentary. We should do a commentary on the DVD.
You know what I thought would be really funny? I thought we should do a commentary.
Just you and me shit talking each other in a commentary.
No. We should drink whiskey while we do it. We should drink whiskey while we do a commentary, and the quality of the commentary will just go off a cliff around the midpoint.
Way up. That's funny. We actually should do that though.
Yeah, sure.
We should do a sober commentary where we're professional filmmakers, serious people.
If you ever, we could do like
a documentary about whiskey. Like,
have you ever listened to the commentary that they do on anything pretty much that Judd Apatow does, where it's not just him; he'll get like the entire cast to do it with him. So if you're into him and you're into those, he always works with the same actors and stuff, So if you like them, then it's just like you're hanging out with them, and it's funny. They bust on each other, and they're like, "Oh, watch this scene," and then like it's good. So. I like commentaries and like behind the scenes stuff. So as a fan, I would like that on ours. Yeah. Wait a second here. Here we go. Yeah, people will pay extra to hear drunk commentary. Well, let's hope so.
Yeah, done and done then.
Russell and Mike, I was listening to them. They did a blether yesterday with Charlie McLean. And then Charlie today was on the Scotch Malt Whiskey Society, did their marathon with Jenna here in the US. They're gathering. They call it the Gathering Marathon. And Charlie was back on again.
Oh, fun. That's a blether.
Rambling chat. It's Scott's slang.
I like that.
Trust me. What we've been doing for the last 49 minutes is a blether. This is the picture in the dictionary next to the word blether.
I thought this was poetry.
I think it's a blether and poetry.
Especially when you're throwing out words like authenticity and south.
And agreeance. And lengthy debates about the biggest concert venue in Aberdeen.
All right. Yeah. No, this is the blether. I love that word. That's fantastic. That like explains it.
Yeah.
It sounds like the thing it is. All three are right now.
Yeah, it's like this, but less articulate.
I like that I was going to say insinuating, more than insinuating that it's already a disaster. So with alcohol, it'll just be even more incredible. That's amazing. I like it. I like that person.
Yeah, incredible. That's the word we'll go with.
Well, in any case, I will say this yet again, since what I did last week on this is I did not put it in the Facebook group. I put it on the page and just shared it to the group. So then we had no one show up as Facebook user, but we had a lot fewer people show up because I think people look in the group for it. So maybe we just have to keep explaining it. And it's just a dumb setting that Facebook limits the StreamYard feed unless someone volunteers, because in a group you have an expectation of privacy and therefore they won't just share your name automatically. But in any case, I think that we will, I don't know, we'll just keep doing what we're doing. But next week, Brittany, join me again if you want. Next week, we're going to have Udo back because Jim McEwen's autobiography is now out in English. And we're distributing it in the US for them.
Was it in German first?
Yes, it was, because it was a German publishing house. And then the English language version is out, and literally the first parcel arrived here yesterday. And we're going to do Udo is going to join us next week, even though it's going to be quite late in Germany, and we're going to chat and talk about that a little bit. So
that's awesome. And then James will show up too.
And Bill, who's
even
hosting
though I swear he said he was coming.
Bill, who's hosting the WBSE event I'm doing tomorrow, invited me to get toasted. And Bill, I'm a step ahead of you. I'm breaking my dry month for that tomorrow. I've already chosen the whiskeys. Oh yeah, that reminds me.
I want to get toasted.
Before we go, I want to tell you something funny. My good friend Jane in Pennsylvania was doing a dry month like 2 months ago when I was there. At the beginning of the month, she said, I'm doing a dry month, and I forget what it was, July. And then the next time I saw her, she said, I'm doing a dry month, but only when I'm at home. And then the next time I saw her, she said, I'm doing a dry month only when I'm at home and except on weekends. I was like, so basically, if it's a Monday through Thursday, you're not drinking if you're at home. But if you go out, all bets are off. So
I'm doing a dry month, but only when I'm unconscious asleep in my bed at night.
Only when I'm out of alcohol, then it's a dry month.
Oh, it's amazing.
Well, any case, thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you guys for joining us. This is actually fun. I enjoy talking to you.
Yeah, this was fun.
You know what we didn't even talk about? Oh my God, the film threat review. Oh my God.
I love that we had like 2 dot points on our talk today, before we signed on, and we didn't hit the first one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was your picture, Brittany, that was like headlining that article, and it's automatically Greg is trying to shove that out of his brain. He's seen enough of you.
I love this picture of me keeps popping up on the articles, and like, not that I haven't done a lot of work on the film and haven't invested my soul into it, but like, let's be honest, Greg has invested so much more of his soul and his time into this film than I have, and I just love that it's my face that keeps being.
Well, it has nothing to do with me. The funny thing is, they asked for
Alphonse took a great picture.
No, but they asked for an image to put in with the article from the movie. They asked for a couple images, and Alphonse sent them like 40, and they picked that one. Because I thought
the people want what the people want.
I think the world of Scotch has seen enough photos of fuzzy white dudes.
Well, that's true. Because I thought for sure it would have been a picture of Jim. I thought it would have been a picture of Jim. But you're right. You're right. It's
You're like, a woman? There is a lot more women now. Actually, when we had our friends over the other day, me and one of the other girls were nerding out over Rachel Berry, and how cool she is, and how
I just met with and had coffee with the whiskey writer Margaret Waterbury 2 days ago, because she's from Portland, Oregon, but she was in LA doing book readings and stuff, and she was doing a couple of women in whiskey events here in LA. Doing a book reading and a tasting to kind of pair with the book and stuff, and it was a really cool conversation. And but
tell me when these things happen.
Honestly, Brittany,
I have no idea. For me.
honestly, I had no idea. She told me about it when I met her to have coffee. She wrote to me and said, "Do you want to get coffee?" And I said, "Yeah, I'd love to meet you." And then we had coffee. And then there, she's like, "Oh, from here, I'm going to go do a thing in Long Beach." I mean, I had no advance.
Oh, never mind. I don't want to go all the way to Long Beach. Forget it.
She had driven the whole way from Oregon and was doing tastings and readings at bookstores and clubs the whole way down the West Coast. And San Diego was yesterday. I saw
that is very cool. That is awesome.
But anyway, the Film Thread article was great, and it was really, really exciting. And as I said to you when I wrote earlier, I've spent the last 8 months immersed in the whiskey industry, not in the indie film industry, and not at all. And we've never really pushed the film into the indie film world. And it all of a sudden, now this was a sort of step into that. So
I just want to remember to talk to you afterwards. I have a thing to discuss with you to do with that. So
I believe this is Russell again, because Rachel Berry is from Inverurie, and therefore she is a Tuchter and she knows how to blether. So she's from the town that Russell lives in, and the Inverurie whiskey shop is in.
That's awesome. I also love how you need like a translation to understand that sentence if you're in America.
Hey, trust me, go to Aberdeen and you're in for a whole treat, man. I mean, Doric is like almost another language.
I mean, even just being in Glasgow when we were filming there, and like especially like with talking to a lot of the cabbies, I was like, I hate doing the like the laughing thing that people awkwardly do when they can't hear somebody. But like the third time when I'm like, what? I'm like, oh shoot, I don't want to keep asking this person what they're saying. And it was beautiful, but it sounded like another language, just with the terminology and with the accent.
Well, I tease her all the time, Natalie, Trevor's wife, when we were in Scotland. She did a full on.
Apparently, what? Anyways.
Well, she did when we were in Scotland. She did a full on. She'd never been to Scotland before, and she did a full on. I always call it the Leroy Jenkins, where she had no idea what she was doing, and she just went all in. Like they would talk to her. People would talk to her, and instead of asking them or anything, she would just go dive deeper into the conversation, which I both respected and thought was hilarious. It was just this sort of an impulse, I think, but it was really funny.
That's amazing. I wonder what their perspective of that conversation was.
We hold on. Like we still haven't actually talked about the review.
Well, I mean, I guess to some degree we have, right?
What was your favorite part, Greg?
Well, I like that. Really, well, the good thing is, I have to admit, I'm not going to lie. I like that they compared us favorably to some of the other whiskey films out there because that it was, that they said we've succeeded where others have failed because it wasn't a talking heads film, and I'm not going to lie. That felt nice to hear. And I'm here. I just put a link to if anyone hasn't seen it, I just put a link to it in the chat, and I'm going to put it right here on the screen. There you go. So if you want to see a picture of Brittany lining up glasses for our opening titles, that's what she's doing, by the way. If you've seen the movie, you've seen all the glasses rotating with the different whiskeys. That was a giant pain in the ass. And,
it was, and that was the one shot that was my idea, I think. I mean, not that it's not my job to come up with shots. Obviously, that's you and Brad. But I remember finally being like, I have this one idea for a shot, and I'm glad that it's used.
I would have said that day you had tons of shots ideas because we were just remember that whole day was that and the Coopering shots. It was all that in that soundstage in Glasgow. But in any case, I don't know. It was just exciting to get a good review like that. And I thought the second I read the first line, I was like, uh-oh, because the first line is basically I am perhaps far from the target audience for a film focused on the art of whiskey.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, uh-oh. But he seemed to really like the film a lot, and that was really cool because we always, and this says it. The last line of the review actually says this, and it was completely our goal. I mean, it was our goal from the beginning. We wanted to make a film that would appeal to the expert as much as the complete newbie, and that's tricky. That's really hard to do, and you could get really deep nerd and then just tune out all new people and just kind of talk about cut points and stuff. But you could also go like whiskey's made out of barley and water and yeast, and then you've kind of lost the experts. But so to try to walk that line was a really tough challenge, and for the reviewer to see that was great.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about that since before we shot the thing, so that was a nice thing to read.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I mean, I don't know what else to say about it other than it was a great dipping of the toe into the film world now, and that's it.
And
A lot of
done.
stuff to say. I think Russell Brinklow is gonna, now his name's appearing. He's gonna find us someone to do Doric subtitles for the movie. We'll just put the whole thing in Scots and or Doric or both or Gaelic, all three.
That would be awesome. Yes.
I will here. I'll leave everyone with this. We are currently having Georgian subtitles made. We were approached by a whiskey club in Georgia, the Republic of Georgia, and they want to do it. They want to do a big event with the film and offered to subtitle it for us.
That's really cool.
They're going to do it, which is pretty cool. I see someone just asked right now in the chat, right before we go, where can I see the film? And I am going to put that in the chat. You can do. Here's a page that will take you to the various partners we have, and I will say, the Cash Chasers are watching now. Bill from WBSE is watching now, so you'll see them both on there. They're both. It's just they all get you the same movie. It's just a matter of going through them. And here, wait a second. Here we go. I'll put the thing up there too. There you go. Anyone that would like to see the film, you could be watching it in 2 minutes from now. So and now I'm going to try to wrap this up again. So
okay.
This has been.
Thank you
this
for
has
the
been
brother,
the longest
gentlemen.
one ever. Yeah, thank you. Now I'm going to go drink. Once it turns midnight, I can drink. It's got to be midnight in Eastern Europe. In Georgia, in the Republic of Georgia, it's currently midnight. So there you go.
Somewhere where a film is going to be shown, it's midnight. So that's what matters.
Well, thank you guys so much, everyone, for watching. And I really can't thank you all enough. And I actually really enjoy this every Friday.
Yeah, this was fun.
I get to count this as work, and all I'm doing is sitting in a chair talking about whiskey and making fun of Brittany's vocabulary.
my 19th century vocabulary.
Yes.
And my inability to say the word self.
See you next Friday, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Wanda.